Alright guys, today we're going to be focusing on mounting your handle, which is pretty important to the feel of your blaster. And I'm going to show you guys what we need first. We're going to need our SnapBow body. We can take out the plunger rod and everything. We don't need it in there for now. And it would actually get in the way of this, so make sure you pull that out. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. And you're going to need 3. I believe these are probably 3/4 of an inch long wood screws. Now, whenever you buy your angle brackets that you use for your trigger here, you should get a few of these in there. So this is what I like to use for these. Your handle, obviously. This is a modified rainbow pump handle. You should be able to do a Google search for rainbow pump write-up. And then I actually modify the handle by shortening it a little bit. I believe this is about, let me get a ruler real quick. Rather than being like crazy big, it's like 3/4 tall from the ledge up. But you can use whatever handle design you want. You can create a completely custom handle if you want to. Now that's really all the material that we need. The rest of it's going to be tools. You're going to need your screwdriver. You're going to also need a knife for deburring your edges. You're also going to need a 9/16 spade bit, or you can use a Dremel. It just really depends what you want to do. A 1/16 drill bit, again for all of our pilot hole drilling. A 3/32 drill bit, just for drilling into the wood so we get a nice surface for the screws to bond into. And we also need, this is kind of a special bit, it is called a glass and tile bit. This is a $14 drill bit. If you're making a lot of snap bows or snap variants, I recommend you get one. Otherwise, it can be kind of a pain in the butt to mount the handle this way. Now, there are other ways to do this. You can use a snap-on handle. You can probably search Google for that as well. But there's different ways to do this. This is just the way I do it, and it creates a very clean-looking outside of the blaster. So that's why I like to do it. You're also going to need your power drill with a good charged battery. You're going to need your Dremel. You can either use one of these 5/8 sanding drums. These actually work pretty darn well. Or you can use one of these flap sanders. I usually use this to just kind of clean up edges. Now, this, as you guys notice, this handle isn't been like rounded or finished yet. I usually do that at the end because it's kind of time consuming to do. But you can do whatever you want. So I guess we're just going to jump right into it. And I'm going to cut here. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do first. Alright guys, now we're going to start marking our locations for the holes that we need to make on the top so we can put our screws down into the handle. Now, I've already made the marks, but all you need to do is you need to get on the top line that we marked when we first started and make a mark at 3/4 and another one at 1.5 inches. Pretty easy to do. I also forgot to mention that you will need a Sharpie for this, just for some of these marks and such. And you will also need to start heating up your glue gun, your hot glue gun. Alright, so now that we have the marks at 3/4 and 1.5, what we'll do is we will take our drill and our 1/16 inch bit, and we'll chuck it in like so, and then we will drill. Nice and easy inside of that. Make sure you're very good and straight with these. That way your hole ends up being nice and straight. I can't believe I keep on forgetting things. You will also need a cutting disc for your Dremel for this. Man, I'm just not in the zone tonight. And now you're going to take your 9/16 spade. Or you can use a Dremel for this. I mean, it's just really personal preference. And we're going to open these 1/16 inch holes up a bit. Yeah, watch it grabbing a hold of you. Don't ever hold on to the piece particularly tightly when you're drilling. That might just be me, but I don't like my hand getting ripped off. Okay. There's one. You see it's pretty rough, but now we're going to do the second real quick. So as you see, we got 2 pretty rough holes up top and a big mess everywhere. But now what we're going to do is, let me get out my cutting wheel actually. For my Dremel, your fiberglass cutting wheel, or you can use the regular brown ones if you want. get the drill out of the way. And now we're going to take our cutting wheel and we are going to connect these like so. Now you see we've got a slot rather than a big hole now. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this up with a few different Dremel bits, like a sanding drum in here, and just kind of get some of the garbage out, and my flap sander, and I'll come back to you guys whenever I've got it all cleaned up. Alright guys, now that I've cleaned up our big hole in the top a little bit more, I'm going to show you guys how we need to mark the holes for our different screws that we're going to put in this. So what we do is we take our handle, we just kind of hold it against the blaster where you want. You want to leave a little bit of gap in between here so that your trigger, excuse me, there's one of those hiccup burp things, with a little bit of gap so the trigger can open and close. And basically you just want to mark where it ends back here, if I get my Sharpie to work, and where it starts up here. Alright, now that I've got that down, I'm going to make a mark in the center the best I can see, and that looks about right there. Then we're going to split the difference on each side so that we end up with a total of 3 holes. All fairly look like 1, 2, 3, they're all fairly spaced apart. And what we're going to do now is we are going to take our drill once again, and we're going to drill more 16th inch pilot holes. And like so. One, 2, and a 3. So now we have 3 holes where our handle is going to sit. So now we're going to move on to, here's a look through the top if you guys want to see. I don't know, maybe you guys can see that. But now we're going to move on to how we actually get the handle to kind of hug the body of the snap. Now, I have taken a ruler and I have split this down the middle like so. You want to have a mark on the front like this in dead center, and at the back in dead center this way. This is 3/4 inch thick, so measure 3/8 in from each side and make a mark. Now, you guys remember all those lines that we made at the very beginning? Now we're going to line them up on here, essentially. Now, what we need to do is we need to actually bevel this out a little bit. We need to make it kind of curved right in here so that it will actually sit up against the curvature of the blaster. Let me actually grab a finished handle and show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright. So here are a pair of handles. One is done, one is not. You see what we're going for? We're going for a curvature in here so we can get it to hug the blaster so it kind of sucks up nice and flush with it. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take our Dremel with a sanding drum or a flapper, and we're just going to, this has to be taken very slowly, and you just want to slowly take it down a little bit more and a little bit more, and I'll do a little bit right here right now. And you see kind of what we're going for here. I'm going to cut the video in here and I'm going to bevel it out some more until I can get it nice and flush with the body here. And then we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the next step. Alright guys, now that we have beveled it out to about something like this, with a nice curve that hugs up against the PVC fairly nicely, as you can see there. Now, you want to make sure that you still have your center marks here on the front and back. Your one on the top will have gone due to the sanding, but that is fine. And you're going to make sure that the line, you know, this big long line we made at the very beginning, we need to make sure that it's still very visible on the back here. And what I just like to do is I like to just highlight it a little bit more with my Sharpie before I do this. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to get a little bit of hot glue on here. I'm going to go ahead and put some on here from the glue gun over here. And let's get some on there. Alrighty. And we have a nice little glob of hot glue on top of it. And now we're going to put it on there. And we're going to try to match up these lines. Now this is kind of difficult to do, guys. But it'll all make it all the worthwhile. Now the trick is just trying to get it straight. Now I like to view it from the front a bunch of times. And adjust. You have to adjust quickly while it's still warm. Let me see. Sometimes I have to redo a handle, but that's not really that big of a deal. Usually they rip right off just fine, and that's what I'll be doing with this one. Is it'll be ripped right off. Not because it's faulty, just because that's what I always do with them, so I can finish them off. And let me just double check and triple check this. And the glue is starting to dry. But I would say that's pretty good right there. And it's nice and straight relative to the trigger, as you can see. And it's pretty dang straight to the body as well. I'm pretty happy with this one. But now we're going to let that glue dry, or rather cool. And you can peel off any excess. Now what we're going to do next, while this is cooling, is we're going to get our drill ready with our 3/32 drill bit. Now what we need to do is we need to chuck it at the very end of our drill, so that's just barely hanging in the drill. Now you need to do that because you need the length on the drill bit for this, because we're going to be going in through the body, and we need to be able to get some into the wood here, as you can see, like that. So you see these little 1/16 inch holes that we made earlier? That's what we're going to be drilling into. So we drill through them and through into the wood. So I'm going to go ahead and do a few of them now. Let me do one right here. And go all the way down until your drill is all the way flush, because you need to get the drill bit into the wood. And then you want to clean it off because it's got hot glue and stuff on it. And we're going to do the rest of the other two. And then clean it off again. And then clean it off some more. Alrighty. And now comes the expensive part, I guess, is we need our $14 1/2 inch glass and tile bit. Chuck it in. And what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to countersink these holes in here that we just made just a little bit, just so that these screw heads are kind of, they're not sticking out whatsoever. They're very flush with the body. Now it's kind of hard to explain, but I'll show you guys once I drill them a little bit. Now you got to be very careful because these drill bits like to bite a lot. And you just need to drill a little bit. You're not looking to go all the way through the PVC. And I about got one. Let me do the second one. And the third one. Blow it all out, clean off your drill bit again. And as you see in here, we have 3 countersunk holes. And then all that needs to be done is we just need to screw these puppies in there. So just take one on the end of your screwdriver, fish it on in, and screw it in tight. I'm going to probably speed this section up while I screw it in. Or cut. I don't know. Alright guys, now that we have all 3 screws in, now you guys might be wondering, why do I do it this way? In particular, it's because it makes it look very clean from the outside. There's no screws here holding it in. There is some hot glue flash, but I'll show you guys how we take care of that in a second. Now, the important thing with the countersinking is, when you look at the SnapBow from the back, you can see that there is no screw head poking up to interfere with the plunger rod if you pull it in and out. So that it allows you to slide your plunger head in and out all the time while keeping your handle in place. Now, I'm going to show you guys what else we need to do to just kind of finish it off a little bit more. Let me get a proper drill bit in here real quick. I might need to cut it right here again. I know, it's such a rushed video, right? Alright guys, now that I finally found the drill bit I needed, I pulled all 3 of those screws out, and to get rid of all this hot glue flash, this is what you need to do. You need to break the handle off. Like so. If you didn't sand your PVC before you put this on, it should break right off. And now all you need to do is just trim off the flash with your knife. Like so. It comes off real easy. Hot glue is pretty easy to cut with a very sharp knife. And just trim it up some more. Get rid of all the little dangly bits that hang out from the sides or whatever. And your handle's done, and we can go ahead and put it back in. And I'm going to go ahead and put it back in now after I cut off the excess on the PVC as well. Now this method I don't see practiced very much, mainly because the drill bit's very expensive. But you can do it other ways. What you can do also is you can get a longer Dremel bit and kind of get in there and countersink them a little bit. But that's pretty hard. I used to do that for a long time. But I finally sucked it up and bought the drill bit, I guess you could say. Now, we're just going to go ahead and reattach it. And then I'm going to reassemble it and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Alright guys, at this point, after you wipe out your plunger tube with something, and you wipe your plunger head off and reinstall your assembly, you should have a functional snap. Now, it doesn't have a foregrip yet or the full stock, but it does function and it does shoot, as I'll demonstrate right here. I've got a dart loaded and I'm going to fire it over there. Enormous amount of power. They shoot crazy far as always. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world yet, because we haven't even done our handle work yet with the smoothing. We haven't done our stock, which gives us a nice base, and we don't have a foregrip, so we have to prime like holding a piece of pipe essentially. Now, it's a workable blaster now. You could take it to a war with a hopper and you could do just fine. The rest of the episodes will be about ergonomics and how to mechanically attach like the stock and how to set up your foregrip. But that's basically how you make a snap. And now my sister's leaving with the camera. She's going on a vacation Bible school or whatever for 2 weeks. So I'm going to try to see if I can find somebody, one of my friends who's got a camera. I'm going to try to have Bobololo come over within a week or so I can keep uploading regular videos. However, I can't really promise anything, guys. But I will have access to my computer, so you can feel free to ask any questions you want. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I've been putting a lot of time into it. Each video takes me a good amount of time to edit and to put together. But yeah, that's how you build a basic snap. And I hope you guys keep continuing watching so we can turn this regular old snap into a SnapBow. And if you guys like the videos, please like them. If you want to throw me a comment, ask away. If you want to subscribe, that would be great too. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a nice day wherever you're at.